What is up, TOK Nation? My name is Mark Farah, and I am here with the legendary Christian Piechocki.
What
And
up?
today we will be answering the question, what is the relationship between personal experience and knowledge? So, to me, I think knowledge is all about what you've learned throughout the years. So, I think that relationship with personal experience and knowledge is there, if that makes sense. Now, at the same time, your personal experience can be wrong. So, like for example, let's say my personal experience is I Cameron tells me that one operator in Rainbow does one thing, but they actually do another thing. Where so in that case, my personal experience would be learning that this operator does one thing, but true knowledge, if I was right, would being the other thing, if that makes sense. By the way, Cameron's going to be playing video games in the background. I hope you don't mind, Mr. Lilick. Christian, what do you think about this topic?
Yeah, I think the relationship is super strong between the two. I think whatever you do in your life kind of like helps you build up knowledge and kind of like it like really like if you don't do a lot of things, like if you stay in your house a lot, then you're not going to learn a lot of things. Like if you go out in the world, like like if you're trying to build like a house, like and you like if you've never like done any of that sort of thing, then like and you try and go and do it yourself, then you're not going to be able to do it. It's kind of a terrible example, but yeah.
Sorry, Cameron almost just got smoked. But yeah, I completely agree with you. There's a lot of things where you just get see you get that intuition through doing it. You can't just learn all about it and do it. For example, one of the
Yeah.
big ones I like to talk about is playing football. You can't just learn everything about football and expect to get on a field and be a good football player because it's about your intuition. It's about your experience from being on a football field. It's about running the drills. It's about doing. That's why football practice isn't just sitting inside and doing chalk talk and just talking about the plays. And instead, it's about actually getting out there and simulating the drills in the game so that you understand what you're supposed to look for in a game. So yeah.
you,
Um.
you can't
What are you gonna say?
yeah you can't just be like an athlete and go out there and expect to be like the best player on the field, because if you've never played football before, say you've been like a baseball player your whole life and you go out there, you're still a really but you don't know what you're doing. Like you're not going to be able to help the team much if you don't know how to, I don't know, say you're a wide receiver, say you don't know how to run a route, you're not very good at getting separation, you're not
So like
good.
you.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But yeah, I think that you need to have like firsthand experience with stuff in order to get the knowledge for it, because like I've never like I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on something that I'm not because I've never done it before.
Mhm.
So I think that that relationship between personal experience and knowledge is pretty strong.
Yeah. Now there is some things where all you really need is knowledge. Like for example, test taking. Well, but then again, at the same time, personal
Yeah.
experience with taking tests, like you get good at taking the test. That's why for the ACT you do practice tests. You don't just do a bunch of problems. Like you take the full test in order so that you understand like the different patterns that appear on the test, so your intuition is better. I believe the relationship between intuition and knowledge and is great as well, because intuition is basically just your knowledge in the real world at a certain period. It's like how you apply your knowledge in fast circumstances, if that makes sense. But yeah, Christian, what do you think? Unless he's lagged out. There he is. Hello.
Oh, it froze. There we go. I'm
Yeah, he
back.
froze a little bit. But I was gonna say that intuition and knowledge have a very big connection as well, because intuition is how you like is basically your knowledge on how something usually behaves and how you can fix it. For example, like like a plumber understanding what is wrong with your pipes without even looking inside, because he just has so much experience with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, or like doctors, have a certain set of symptoms and they're gonna be like, oh, this may or may not be, that may or may not be so and so. And you do blood tests, whatever, and then you come to figure out, oh, I actually do have that. And I think the test taking example was really good because like it's kind of like street smarts versus book
Did
smarts.
you just say
I think
street
street
fart?
smarts, yeah, maybe.
Okay, keep going.
Because street smarts is like personal experience, like it's intuition, like knowing like when to say certain things, when you don't say certain things, like just being like just having common sense is kind of knowledge in and of itself. And I mean, I think you can take that when you're taking tests, like you said, like ACT, like what and like pattern recognition, and whatnot. But
Mhm.
I think that street smarts is probably a really good example of that strong relationship between personal experience and knowledge.
Yeah, I agree. And I was gonna say all my pretty much all I studied for in the ACT was just the pattern recognition part, and it helped me out a lot. But anyways, so in terms of like what else do we even talk about, man? Like I feel like we pretty much covered all the bases. Uh but like I said earlier, personal experience can just be wrong. I think he froze again, but it's okay. And we're back. Okay.
All right.
We should be fine.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know why it
it's
keeps
I
doing
think
that.
it's me. I think it's my internet. But anyways, um it's okay. As long as it's 10 minutes and it's a continuous conversation.
Yep,
But
yep.
anyways, like I said at the beginning, I still think personal experience can be wrong cuz
Oh,
me
100%.
doing
Yeah.
something a bunch of times, like if I'm not doing the right thing with personal experience, like for example, if I'm preparing for a test by only doing practice questions and not taking the whole test, then I'm just gonna get nervous and run out of time on the real test, which is exactly what happened to me the first time I took the ACT. I ran out of time on 2 sections. Um, or like just pro like anecdotal, well, the anecdotal fallacy that we discussed, like being too phased, being too influenced by personal experiences can just make an argument wrong because that's well obviously an argument of fallacies isn't always wrong, but a lot of the time it is, because if you're using fallacies then that means that you probably either don't know it's a fallacy, which means you're not knowledgeable, or you know it's a fallacy and you're using it anyways because you know you're not right.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. um Christian, is there any times where you've learned something like in a book and or like the internet or something and then you've tested it yourself and realized it just completely wasn't true?
Oh man, I can't think of anything specifically, but there's definitely things on TikTok that I've seen that I've like, oh, I wonder if that works, and it doesn't actually work. I
Yeah.
can't think of anything off the top of my head,
The thing is
but
on TikTok, the companies pay people a lot of money to advertise their stuff. Like I saw
oh yeah.
Nikki Haley's campaign paid someone $5,000 for one story post, which I don't know if you know anything about TikTok, Mr. Lilick, but that's just like unbelievable. It's only gonna be up for 24 hours and they're giving him 5 grand. The guy didn't end up accepting. And it wasn't even like a big channel, it was like 100K. So like yeah, like he had a following, but nothing worth $5,000 for one story post. So what I'm saying is, if people like these have that much money to put towards campaigning or putting their message out, then personal experience isn't really going to be as reliable as it was in the past because it's so easy to just get misdirected like in the 2020s compared to previous places in time because because we're consuming so much media. Like there's just so much overstimulation versus like the 90s where it
Oh
was
yeah,
just
100%. Yeah.
like billboards and stuff, like friends, word of mouth. But what I'm trying to say about this is yes, personal experience does help you in knowledge. It is don't get me wrong, it doesn't just help you in knowledge, it is knowledge. Knowledge is what you learn. However, it can also be wrong. It's like studying for a test the wrong way or practicing the wrong drill for the wrong position in football. It's like if I ran routes as a lineman, like yes, personal experience can be a lot wrong because it's personal. Like you're not really getting it from experts. Cameron, you good? Oh, okay. Christian,
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think the campaign example is really interesting because like you said, we're consuming so much media, and nowadays I feel like people are so easy to influence online. Like I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
people say the stupidest things and people will believe it, and they will continue to believe it until like it's actually proven false and whatnot. Like I'm on Twitter a lot and I see a lot of really stupid stuff on there that people post, and some of it's satire, but like some of it that's like
yeah,
actually like completely like serious. Like people will be under replying and be like, "Oh no way, this is true," whatever. Like they're actually following for it and believing it, and I think that's just it's just not knowledge because you're being misled into believing something that's not true. So I think that's like a really
yeah.
interesting thing is the mass consumption of media really affects your knowledge.
I mean, the thing is, the way we say it doesn't really sound like that big of a deal, but
No.
like I don't know if you remember the whole whale game thing, where like a bunch of people killed themselves over like a game on
Oh, yeah,
social media. Like
yeah,
like it can get serious, and like whenever it's like misinformation about Israel or Palestine, for example, like there's so much misinformation about that because both sides don't want to look like the villain. Um, personally, Mr. Luke, I do not have an opinion on the Israel versus Palestine conflict. However, I will say both sides have used a ton of misinformation because they want to push their agenda. Which, to be honest, if I was in their position, I would do the same thing. It's the easiest way to get a following is just use misinformation and paint the other side as a
yep,
villain. So it's just that kind of is the reason personal experience isn't really worth as much anymore as it was worth in the past. Now, I understand fake news has always existed. However, it's a lot more prominent now and a lot more easy to access now due to the simply the prevalence of media. Like I can just go on my phone and scroll on TikTok for 5 hours and just get an infinite stream of just media directly to my head. So that's what I think.
yeah.
So
I think.
yeah,
What were we
you
gonna
keep going,
say?
keep going. No, keep going.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think personal beliefs have a big effect on your consumption of knowledge. Because like you said, the Israel-Palestine thing, like whatever people think about like, whatever's going on over there, like the humanitarian aspect of it, like, oh, and so many innocent people are being killed by so and so, like I think that their opinion will be persuaded by the information that they see first. And if they see more of that, then I think their overall opinion will be affected by whatever they see the most. And I think that's why like your personal beliefs have a very big effect on your knowledge as well as your experience.
Yeah, pretty much. I 100% agree with you. And there's like Truth Social. I don't know if you've seen that. That's like Donald Trump's social media app.
Yeah.
Well, so I think like Republicans are going to want to use that more because they're getting like a direct stream of information from Trump. But at the same time, it's going to reinforce all their beliefs about being pro-Republican because they
Yeah.
don't want to see the other side. So, what is the relationship between personal experience and knowledge? I think personally the answer is personal experience influences your knowledge to an extent that is lesser than it was in the past, but still exists. And it might not always be true knowledge, but it'll be knowledge, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
All right, Cameron, you want to say anything? Did you actually for what? Oh my God. Christian, you have anything to say?
No, I don't have anything else to say.
All
I
right.
think I did it all.
Thank you for watching, Mr. Lilick. Like, subscribe, and hit the little bell to be notified of any future TOK casts. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Free
Thank
Rio.
you, Mr. Loic.